to get to introduce Lisa Alpe to you. We have a wonderful crowd of folks that want to learn more about Lisa and those that are here to support her. For those of you that, the soundtrack of my life, for those of you that aren't really familiar with Lisa, she is a longtime resident here in Spring Branch. She and her husband, Bruce, have raised 3 exceptional children who have all either gone through or are going through SPISD schools. I have personally known Lisa for almost 2 decades, first as a colleague in the legal community and then as a friend. And I can assure you that the same qualities that make her one of the most sought after attorneys in the Harris County area will ensure that she represents us and, more importantly, our children well when she's elected to the SPISD board. She has an unwavering tenacity. When Lisa approaches a problem that is new or novel, she examines it and analyzes it with the precision of a surgeon. If you haven't heard Lisa speak, you're in for a treat. She is an exceptional communicator. She speaks passionately and directly. But what sets Lisa apart isn't her verbal abilities, as exceptional as they are. Lisa is an amazing listener. Really, it's what makes her an amazing attorney. In the courts, she's never the first to speak. You can see her digesting, learning, analyzing, as people are sharing their opinions, their versions of the facts, and what they're passionate about. And ultimately, isn't that what we want in a board of trustee, someone who listens, who cares about what we as constituents think? I will tell you, I have been involved in local politics for a decade. And it is true that all politics are local. But I must confess that until very recently, while I cared very deeply about what was going on in our courthouses, in our city, the school board politics, I was asleep at the wheel. Until about 2 years ago, right? COVID happened. The lawsuit happened. The election happened. Like many of you, I moved my family from HISD to this district for the exceptional schools. But it wasn't until recently that I got involved. I listened. I showed up. But Lisa didn't just show up. She went to those board meetings. She spoke with the tenacity of a mother lion. She educated herself. She spoke to people. She learned the issues. And she's been out in the community doing that long before she decided to run. So I am super excited that you guys are here. You're going to hear her speak. But I'll tell you, this is important, right? The last election in March was a huge election. It was one of the most well-turned out elections in SPISD. But there were less than 9,000 votes. So if you're thinking, what can I do? Give money, support her, take a yard sign. Every vote matters. Every yard sign matters. Door hangers from block walkers matters. But what most matters is the conversations you have with folks who aren't here tonight, that you'll share coffee with and say, hey, you may not even have kids, but let me tell you why you need to vote for Lisa for the school board. Because it matters. Educating our children is one of the most fundamental things that we can do as a community. Not even just parents, but as a community. And so, like her on Facebook, follow her on Twitter, follow her on Instagram, read her blog on Facebook, because if you haven't, I think that you'll be shocked and discouraged by some of the things that are currently going on in our district. And it's time for those to change. And we can be those agents of change. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being involved. And without further ado, Lisa Alpe.
Thank you, Kristen. She's on our ballot for Republican judge too, by the way, and a great friend. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know we're all busy. We're racing to different things. So for you to take your time to come here in support of me means a lot. I really, really appreciate everyone that is here tonight. You know, I think most people would tell you that know me even just a tiny bit, know that I am not a politician. I am very direct, I'm straightforward, and those things don't typically go well with being a politician. because I just like to tell it how I see it. My husband would probably concur with that assessment. But right now, in this moment, we are at a pivotal time in our community, in our country. We are standing here deciding, which way should I go? Are we going to stand up and be a voice for our children in our schools? Or are we going to let unelected educrats force a certain ideology on our kids? And that's really the choice that we have to make. This election is critical. And so let's talk about some of the things that we're facing as a district that are very, very concerning. The first is the lawsuit. And that's part of the reason that I am running, because of my legal background and because I want to push back on the lawsuit that's filed against the district. Last year, the loser to Chris Ernest, who is here tonight, and we all need to give him. He's been going through it the last year. And so this lawsuit seeks to transform our entire district from one that elects trustees, 7, who govern our whole district and look out for every kid in our district, to one that seeks to carve out little kingdoms where we only get to cast a vote for one trustee. And we all have common sense, and we know what that's going to look like. It's going to look like HISD. It's going to look like Congress, where everyone fights. There's dysfunction. There's backdoor deals, things done behind closed doors that we don't know about. And at the end of the day, that's just bad for our kids. And that's what we have to fight back. What is our board now doing about that? Well, except for Chris, they're silent. They don't tell us if they're pro at-large districts. They don't tell us if they're pro S&D. They are elected officials, and they refuse to say what their position is. And that should make everyone here angry, that they have the nerve to not tell us their position after they were elected to represent us. That's just fundamentally wrong, and it's not democracy. And I would never, ever do that. You will always, always know where I stand. But aside from the lawsuit, there is curriculum. I know that we all saw when Zoom came into our living rooms to teach our kids, we saw not only the social justice agenda that is shoved down our kids, but also just the curriculum that's not rigorous anymore. It's watered down. Every school in our district doesn't follow the same curriculum. So the kind of education you get depends on which school you're zoned to, and that's just wrong. This board right now, their job is to set goals and then hold the administration accountable for achieving those goals. Performance. Are our kids doing better now? Are they continuing to achieve? Because at the end of the day, what are we all trying to do? We're all trying to raise kids who become marketable, healthy, happy, educated children. And that's why we are standing at the crossroads right now. Last year started a movement, I think, and that was with the election of Chris Ernest. And there was turnout that had never happened before. Over 9,000 votes. Doesn't seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but compared to the 1,000 votes that typically showed up, that was an enormous turnout. But we've got to do even better this year, because we now have 3 open seats. 3 people that can join Chris and help him make these fundamental changes that we need to make. The other 2 candidates are here. Where's Caroline? Caroline, she's running. All need to give her our support. John Perez just walked in. And we are trying to make these fundamental changes to fight for the education in our district. You know, some people describe our group of supporters as just loud, noisy parents, like we don't matter. I say we need to get louder, noisier, and bigger. Thank you everyone for coming, and I'm going to try and meet and talk to everyone, but I really appreciate all your support. Thank you.